For round 4 of Formula Drift, we headed to Lake Erie Speedway, which is in the northwestern corner of Pennsylvania, ironically in the town of Northeast Pennsylvania. Obviously somebody was drunk when they made that decision. So Lake Erie Speedway, it's a 3/8 mile oval track, similar to Wall, a little bit less banking than what Wall, New Jersey used to be. Very similar in size to what Orlando Speed World is, without the giant transition coming off the bank into the bottom, so less chance of debeating a tire there, which was good. The layout was kind of similar in shape to what Irwindale is, but much, much different in the way that you approach the track. Basically, the way that I found that you have to approach the track is I start in second. I still have an H pattern shifter, so start in second, upshift third, fourth, small handbrake pull on initiation. You don't want to pour too much angle on, so you just have just a little bit of angle going around the first half of the bank, and then the shape of the bank is very, very unique at this racetrack. It actually kind of has a real nice arc in the first half of the bank, and then it starts widening out. So you actually have to pull angle out of the car halfway through the bank to be able to follow the curvature of the outside wall to keep the car up on the ball the way that they want you to. So you got to do that. Then you come off a little bit early. That's when I downshift into third, switch back. It's kind of a big switch back going from outer zone 1 to outer zone 2. It's also a really unique racetrack. I think this is the first FD track that's ever been run with all outer zones. There's not a single inner clip. So come into outer zone 2, it's a big transition, kind of a tight corner. Fill that second outer zone all the way through. Another big transition into outer zone 3. Kind of in the same, you're following kind of the same curvature that you would for outer zone 2 at Orlando, but it's a little bit tighter and kind of the opposite of turn 1 at Erie. You start on kind of the same line, and it's kind of a nice smooth arc, and then it ends up tightening towards the end of the track. So you progressively pour more angle on throughout the course of the turn. Sorting it out.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Super crazy. Not pretty at all.
He does that like he knows what he's doing. Change positions. It's a good tactic.
That are great.
Thanks, man.
Have fun.
Love the car.
Thank you. Practiced, had a few issues, nothing too crazy, but you know, tore bumpers off and all the normal stuff you do on a bank track when you get into the wall and kill tail lights and all that good stuff. But got some laps in, and that was all in the dry. And then right before qualifying was supposed to start for our final warm-up before qualifying, the heavens opened, similar to the way that they did in Englishtown, and our weather app still said that it wasn't raining even though it was pouring down rain. So that was an interesting experience. Just like the name of the city, apparently the weather people up there don't even know when it's raining. So qualifying starts, and the only thing I'm sitting there watching cars go around there hoping is that it doesn't stop raining and the track get to this weird point where it's half wet and half dry. That is all of the drivers' kind of biggest fear and biggest hope, is that it's either all dry or all wet. When it gets to that weird transition phase where it's half wet and half dry, it is almost impossible to figure out and prepare for and set the car up for, right? Because if you have all the grip dialed in for a wet setup and the bank's dry, it's not gonna work good. So we went out, and fortunately it just stayed raining the entire time. It was wet. I was pretty prepared for that because of some of the changes that I made, mostly to myself and the way that I approach the track from what I learned not to do in Englishtown, New Jersey. I definitely learned what not to do because I sucked at the rain in Englishtown. So took those principles, applied them here, and decided I was just gonna really go for it. So that's what we did. That was the goal. The goal was to qualify high, just like it always is, but kind of transitioning the thought process is I really got to lay it on the line and go for it. So that's what I did. I initiated a little bit later than I thought I might need to in the rain, just knowing that I really needed to get up on the wall and make it look good and exciting. And I definitely did that, but I went just a smidge too far, and had a brand new bumper from where someone had stolen my bumper at Englishtown, but that was a whole nother story. But brand new bumper on the car for the first time, made contact with the wall within the first 30 feet, ripped my new bumper off, busted a brand new right rear taillight, and proceeded to hit the wall like 5 or 6 times. It's not what I intended to do. I intended to just kind of maybe scrub it or be right up against it, but sometimes when you get into the wall, it's really hard to get off of the wall, because every time it sort of starts to pop off, it pours on angle, backs up into the wall and hits it again, and then starts to pull the front around. So it's just a vicious cycle of bang, 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 all the way around playing bumper cars. So I was able to just keep my foot in it and make it all the way around, and then sort of finish the inside of the track a little bit more conservatively, because I didn't want to spin after finally, having a really good bank run, or at least a really exciting one. And we finished out the lap and ended up qualifying, I think our highest score in qualifying, with an 88, which put us 11th. It was actually a 3-way tie for 9th, but I ended up 11th.
got that one. That's fine. Have fun.
P1. Thank you. Please get it in the right position. I'm not going to do it, is it?
Let's stop it.
I don't know. Don't break it, Nick. Jesus.
Damn it.
It did break it.
Now I gotta tape it again.
It's quick release.
Yeah, thank you.
That's an illusion. These are fuel. Had to change them. It's also so no one can steal it. first battle for top 32 was against Masuyama. He's got a S15, really nice car, very Japanese style, polar opposite of what mine is, very American style. He's got, you know, the 6-cylinder turbo. I've got the supercharged V8. But he's been really doing well, and I knew it was going to be a good battle. So I initiate hard and fast, and he was actually right on my door at initiation, to the point where he actually hit my left rear wheel and killed the wheel. I ended up giving that wheel out to a fan later on because it killed my poor Koenig wheel. Sorry, Scott. But when he hit me, it sort of messed him up a little bit, and he straightened out shortly thereafter. I continued on the lap, had a good lead run, and Tamar came over the radio, told me kind of what had happened, and I knew at that point that I had a pretty significant advantage since he had incompleted in the chase. So when it came time for me to chase, I gave him maybe a little bit more space than I had intended to on the bank. His car was faster than what I thought it was going to be. I probably should have known that just from how close he was able to be on initiation with me, but nevertheless, stayed relatively with him, and I was able to reel him in a little bit more in the infield and finish out the lap in pretty good proximity, and we were able to get the win there. So my prize for getting the win versus Masuyama was going up against second in points, Odi Bakchis, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for. I think he is one of the best, most aggressive chase drivers in drifting right now, and he's also probably one of the smartest minds in drifting with suspension setup and all that. So I knew that it was going to be a good battle. I knew it was going to be a really, really tough battle too. You know, if we're all being honest, it's probably not the person you want to draw into your top 16. It's not, you know, we think we can beat anybody out there, or we wouldn't be there. I think we're there to win, but in the same breath, if you had your choice, probably not the guy you want in top 16. He had qualified higher than I did, so I was chasing first. On our first battle, Odi did the run-up, initiated. Now I know that Odi's car is fast, and Odi is an incredibly talented driver, so I initiated like I normally don't behind somebody in chase, which is basically what I mean by that is I start in second, third, fourth. Typically, I'm either going to do a little clutch and a little handbrake on initiation. I'm going to drop down the bank and do a little bit of a flick up into initiation. In this situation, I just clicked it into fourth. I'm normally running 60 to 70% throttle down a bank straightaway like that, because otherwise you're going to break traction. You're going to slide down the bank and do that kind of flick entry. I just went from 70% right before the 3-2-1 cones, and I just matted it and steered left. And it really allows you to suck in and put it right on somebody's door as long as they go. So that's a frog. In case anybody's wondering, that is a toad in South Atlanta. Shut the f*** up. Are you shitting me?
Okay.
Okay, I gotta get my composure back.
Where were we?
All right, so
Your initiation.
yeah, and the danger or the kind of the fear of doing that is it's a high risk maneuver when you're initiating like that for a couple of reasons. One is kind of like what happened. If the lead driver doesn't really go the way that you expect them to, and you surge in like that, you're pretty committed to that line, and you got to bail out if that happens and the lead driver doesn't go. Fortunately, 99 times out of 100, Odie's car is really fast and he's really good and he's going to go. I think he may have just gotten in maybe a little bit too deep in that corner and he had to pause just a little bit longer before he could go. It's just not quite what I expected him to do in that situation. But the other thing is, if you had already committed and you're steering right and you just let out of the gas, you don't have traction broken anymore, and the car's going to go where the wheel's pointed, which in this case is directly at the wall. So you've got a lot of momentum carrying you in that direction, and you don't want that to happen. So when Odie didn't go quite as much as I thought he would, I just kind of feathered the gas and drove it down to the bottom. I straightened up. It wasn't a good situation, and then I kind of reinitiated, and it put me on a really awkward line coming through the bank. It made me pour a ton of angle on coming out of outer zone 1, and then just too much angle into outer zone 2 from being on the wrong line, and I spun out. So at this point, I wasn't sure how the judges were going to view this, if it was, my fault or his fault, or, if they were able to connect the dots between, cause and effect between what happened versus me spinning. And, at the end of the day, I should have been able to gather it up and finish the run, but it just really had me off my game because I was so honed in on what my focus was there, and it didn't go the way that I had planned it to. So that was my chase lap. Odie went on to have, a good rest of the lead there, after 50 feet of the bank, and he was gone. So that was good. Came my turn. I led, put down what would have been a pretty decent qualifying lap there, and came back to wait for the judge's decision, and I really didn't know how it was going to go. I knew what I kind of thought happened, which was that he wasn't able to go as quickly as what he wanted it to, and not as quickly as I expected him to. But again, I wasn't sure if the judges were going to see that. So it turned out that they did. They couldn't really determine what really happened, and the whole cause and effect scenario between that and then to me spinning and all that, they just decided they wanted to see a clean run, and they sent us one more time. And that's where it got interesting. Yeah, the motor feels down on power a little bit, and I hit him like 4 times. Yeah, we're gonna go back to the trailer.
We'll go back, we'll start at 5, and then if it goes the other way, we'll just do it.
Okay.
Just let it go off.
Basically, a plug wire fell off, and the car was kind of spitting and popping a little bit. I can't believe I was able to keep up with Odie there. I haven't been able to keep up with Odie on 8 cylinders before, much less 7, so that was kind of wild. But the car was, like I say, kind of breaking up, and it was wanting to straighten up several times. So I bumped Odie and kind of got him out of shape a little bit. So sorry to Odie. If I'd have let out, I would have straightened out, and I would have been over. And it looked like he kind of started to spin, so I just bumped him a little further forward and straightened him back out, and we finished up. So should be good to go now.
All right, well, the clock is still running. We're at 45 seconds, and I also heard that you said you were so mad that run, but you couldn't believe that you had as much grip as you did.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. We're going to see if we can finish it off and take this thing to top 8.
All right, start that car, Taylor, because the clock is still running. We're at 30 seconds.
So on the one more time, once again, I chased first. And I guess at some point between all the craziness on my lead run and coming in and changing tires, I guess vibration happened and my spark plug wire came off. It's never happened to me before in the course of my drift career. I mean, I've had things break and whatnot, but never just a plug wire literally pop off of the plug and just be sitting there, which is what ended up happening. So I thought I heard something in the burnout box, but I didn't want to use my 5 minutes for that. In hindsight, maybe I probably should have, but I didn't. So went in there, and I knew for sure on run up that the car was a little bit down on power because I was able to really put it to the wood, even on the banking, and the car wasn't slipping down. So I'm like, oh man, I really hope this thing will actually drift when I initiate it at the wall and right behind him, because if it doesn't, we're gonna have a problem. But I did the same type of initiation that I did on the first one. This time he really went and initiated hard and got back on the gas quick, and I did that same style, and I was able to pretty much put it right on his door on the whole outer zone 1, closer than I've ever been to anybody on a bank in chase, but was able to keep it there. We transitioned, I was able to tuck right up in the pocket, keep it close to him again. We transitioned into outer zone 3, and I put it right on his door one more time. He had a situation, it looked like to me, where coming up to where the turn, that radius tightens a little bit, he needed to position his car in a little bit different way. He tapped the left foot brake, and when he did, I came in and touched him just in front of the left rear tire, and it angled him up. It looked like to me for a second that he was gonna spin. So after I touched him the first time and he sort of angled up, I'm like, well, if I let out of the throttle here, my car's only on 7 cylinders. I'm gonna have to clutch kick and do all kinds of craziness, and it may still not get back sideways. I may straighten up and I may lose this run right here. So when I see him start to angle up, I just stay in the throttle and aim for the left front fender and the front of his door and hit him again and sort of straighten him back out. And then I'm there at that point, so I'm hitting him again and again and again, and we kind of come across the finish line like that. It was a lot of fun to me. I think Odie was having a good time. We've talked since then, and you know, we both agree that it was a great battle and kind of no harm, no foul, I think. So from my perspective, people have asked me, like, did I mean to hit him? Like, I mean, yeah, I did. Like, I didn't, maybe the initial contact, didn't mean to, you know, bump him maybe as hard as I did, but when you tap the brake, you kind of don't have, there's a very small window of anticipation that you have when you're as close to somebody as you are in drifting, especially in tight tandem and pro, and when there's any sort of change to the trajectory of the car, you're there, and that gap closes in a hurry, and that's what happened. I bumped him, he angled up, hit him again and again and again, and it was all good from my perspective. If I had to do all again, I would do it the same way. After my chase with Odie, and I had the car that was obviously down on power, I was pretty sure it was down a cylinder. I didn't know why at the time, but I immediately came on the radio and told Tamara to let the FD crew know that I was going to take my 5-minute call. And Nick has a radio too, my crew chief, who coincidentally is my only crew member this time. Typically, our crew consists of, you know, myself, Tyler, our video editor, Tamara, my spotter, and usually Nick and someone else. Usually either Nick and Ethan Parnell or Nick and David Carey out in California, depending on which part of the region of the country that we're in. So pretty small crew already, but then when it's down to just one person being Nick in the pits, it can be a little bit challenging, and I wasn't sure exactly what we were going to be up against and if we were going to be able to fix it in 5 minutes. I just knew that the car had a problem. I felt lucky that we did not have that develop into me crashing the car because it was down on power, but definitely had to sort out what was going on. So we get there, Nick opened up the hood once the 5-minute clock started. I was out of the car at this point too. I was able to easily look and see that there was a plug wire dangling sitting on top of the headers. Have no idea what caused it. I don't know if something flew up, if it just vibrated loose, or what the story was, but that's what caused it. So fortunately we were able to easily just, you know, clip it back on, fired it back up, it's back on 8, no problem. We were able to, you know, just quickly look over the rest of the car, just where I'd tapped Odie and make sure the right front tire wasn't going down or anything like that. But Nick buttoned up the car, made sure everything was good. We fired it back up and drove back to the line, no problem. So at that point, then we switch. It's only half the battle. Then I proceed to go out and run what I think is my best lap of the weekend. Really high up on the bank, dragging the wall again, tearing taillights and bumpers off, and we come back across, and Odie was right there on me on the bank, and we come back across and he taps me in the back, and I honestly didn't even barely feel it. It was just a very light tap, nothing that was going to disrupt my line or hurt my car or his car or anything like that. I think it tore one of his bumpers or a fender or something off, but again, no harm, no foul. Turns out you can bump and rub and stuff and nobody get upset, or at least none of the drivers. So tearing, you know, fenders are flying, bumpers are flying, tire marks are being traded, and we transition into the last turn. He doesn't hit me, but he stays right on my door, and it was really, really exciting. The fans seem to be excited. We pull up to the line. I have no idea who's won. I kind of feel in my heart at that point, with being able to kind of push him along in my chase, that maybe I got it because I had such a great lead run from my perspective. And we sat there forever, and we sat there and we sat there, and it finally comes down, and I see Matt Sopa check his headset, and then he laughs, and I know before he even says it that we're going one more time again. And sure enough, he gives the one more time signal. I'm like, oh, good Lord. All right, so we go back to the trailer. At this point, the car is like 225, 230 degrees. We've had some issues, unfortunately, this year with getting some air pockets in the coolant system, so I knew that was going to be a problem. But we get back to the trailer. Nick immediately goes to work on changing tires, because that's the first thing we have to do. But he starts spraying the radiator down. I'm out of the car at this point too, checking everything out. I start spraying the radiator down. It's not cooling off the way that we need it to. He finally just takes our whole Yeti cooler and just dumps it on top of the radiator, which normally would be a really good thing, and it cooled the radiator off great, but our electric water pump just had an air pocket in there, so it wasn't circulating that cool water up to the engine. So the problem with that is none of that cold water was making it to the block. I still drove back up to the line. I certainly wasn't going to go 2 rounds with Odie and not finish it out and not give it my best shot. So We go in, we do our burnout. At that point, when I pull up to the line, the car's at 240 degrees. I know at that point, it's still got an air pocket in the system. Water's not circulating. I have a choice to make at that point. Do I send it and risk the motor, or do I shut it down and hopefully save it? I sent it, Chase first again. Two things happened. One, he made the necessary changes that he needed to as a driver and a team and put some more grip in the car to allow him to be faster than what we were the first time. So that's problem number one that we faced, because we did not make those changes that we should have, anticipating those changes from them. We should have, we know better for the next time. We'll add some more grip if we're ever in a situation like that again. But we didn't do that, and the second thing is my car was starting to go into partial limp mode, because by the time I was halfway through the chase lap, I'm just having yellow and red warning signs come up on the dash, you know, shut engine down. It looks like the scene in Fast and Furious where it's danger to manifold, and he's just shutting the laptop off, and that's pretty much what I was doing, is just blocking out what the computer was yelling at me in my mind. We get back around, I'm at 253 before my lead run, go in, initiate. Not able to keep it up on the wall like I had, you know, in my opinion, a very subpar lead run. I pulled in of the track after the finish. I was able to complete the whole lead run, and Odie was able to keep it, you know, right on my door the way that he needed to. And I pull up to the finish, and the car's at 264 degrees, literally melting pistons probably. So something I'm gonna have to look at when I get to the track at Seattle. But Odie easily took the win at that point, rightfully so. He had a much better third battle with me than I did, but I couldn't have had more fun and still lose. It was I feel like a turning point for us. We've beat some really, really good drivers since coming into Formula Drift. You know, people come to mind like Dai Yoshihara, former champion, but I haven't really gone toe to toe. You know, me giving it my best, them giving it their best, no mistakes made, nobody zeroed, just a true, just no holds barred battle like this, and come that close to winning. It went one more time on that battle, but I couldn't be more proud of the team and the effort that we put in, and you know, my progression as a driver, and it's just it's been a really good experience. We continue to develop the car. And I think, even though we're building a new car for next year, I still think this car is capable of winning. I think I wouldn't be continuing to bring it to the racetrack if it wasn't capable of winning. But I'm excited for what that car brings to our program, and I'm excited for what the rest of the season is going to hold for us.
Well done, man. Good job. Thank you. Good shit. Good driving, bud.
Yeah, that was fun. I was on 7 when I was chasing it.
That's not water.
No, you're good. Do your thing. Good luck.
Shit, Taylor. Hey, man. Thank you guys.
So Seattle Round 5 Evergreen Speedway is absolutely my favorite track on the schedule. It is by far the fastest sustained speed. Road Atlanta, you get a little bit more entry speed. You hit triple digits on entry at Road Atlanta, but you're 93, 94 miles an hour up against the wall for what seems like forever. You can pack a lunch and snack on it in the time that you're in the bank and in throttle at Evergreen Speedway. It is really fast and really wild, and I think that's why it's my favorite. I'm super confident that we can have a good event there, maybe our breakout event, I hope. And I hope that you guys stick around to watch. If you haven't already, please take a moment to like, comment, subscribe. If you're liking these type of videos, we're gonna be doing some more, as well as some other videos with the Corvette build. So, see you on the next one.